The Mongols confront the Bulgar tribes in Russia. In 1223, the Mongols were subjected to a severe defeat at the hands of the Bulgar tribes in Russia, and the Mongols withdrew and lost control of most of the western regions they'd occupied in southern Russia, Georgia, Armenia, Georgia, Azerbaijan, Dagestan, and Chechnya. As a result of the defeat of the Mongols in Russia and their weakness in the region of Iran, one of the sons of Mohammed bin Khwarizm, Ghiyath al-Din bin Khwarizm, the brother of Jalal al-Din, who fled to India, appeared. Ghiyath al-Din gathered the remaining soldiers of Khwarizm and took control of the cities of Al-Ray and Isfahan and others in the north and south of Iran, and established a new state there. The Mongols were near Ghiyath al-Din in eastern Iran and Afghanistan. The Mongols were to the east of the Islamic state of Ghiyath al-Din, and Iraq was to the west. It was expected from the Abbasid Caliph al-Nasir al-Din Allah, who ruled Iraq, to help this new emerging state because it stood like a geographical barrier between him and the Mongols. Rather, he was supposed to help them. But the Abbasid Caliph al-Nasir al-Din Allah did not want to understand these matters. He did not have the necessary wisdom to deal with the events. He did not forget the old differences between him and the Khwarizm, so he wanted to dismantle the state of Ghiyath ad-Din. The Abbasid Caliph worked to end the state of Ghiyath al-Din and gave money and promises to one of the army leaders to overthrow Ghiyath al-Din bin Khwarizm. The Caliph did not care about the collapse of this state, which stands as a barrier between him and the Tatars. The military coup against Ghiyath al-Din began. A huge battle took place between the Muslims, and the coup failed. In the year 1225, corresponding to 622 in the Hijri calendar, the Mongol Tatars were busy establishing the pillars of their state on the vast areas they occupied. Jalal al-Din ibn Khwarizm saw a good chance to return from India, so he decided to return and ally himself with the Khwarizmian leaders, Sad al-Din bin Dakhla, to overthrow his brother, Ghiyath al-Din bin Khwarizm. Jalal al-Din was able to expel his brother, Ghiyath al-Din, and take control of Iran. Then, Jalal al-Din ibn Khwarizm remembered the deep differences between the Khwarizmians and the Abbasid Caliphate in Iraq, so he began to attack Iraq and besieged the city of Basra, then left it and went to the siege of Baghdad. What does the Abbasid Caliph al-Nasir al-Din Allah do? He did something shameful and unforgivable. And the Abbasid Caliph al-Nasir sent a secret message to the Mongols asking them to help eliminate Jalal al-Din and the Muslim army of al-Khwarizmi. The greed of the Mongols to attack Baghdad increased because of this shameful, scandalous act of the Caliph al-Nasir. That Caliph al-Nasir was afraid of Jalal al-Din's takeover of Iraq, so he wrote to Genghis Khan, inviting him to come to Iraq despite his knowledge of the history of the Mongols full of crimes against Muslims. The Abbasid Caliph did not understand that if the Mongols had eliminated the army of Jalal al-Din ibn Khwarizm, the next step would be to eliminate it and invade Iraq. The Caliph wanted to prolong his reign by a few years and to die a servile slave of the Mongols, instead of being a slave of the Muslim Jalal al-Din. Not in defense of Celaleddin, but it would never be a good solution to ask for help from the Mongols. The Mongols were preoccupied with the lands they occupied, so they did not come to Iraq. And Jalal al-Din was unable to storm Baghdad, so he left it and attacked Karaj in Georgia and entered their capital, Tbilisi, in 1226. The death of Genghis Khan, the appointment of Yukatai, the new emperor of the Mongol Tatars. In the year 1227, Genghis Khan died at the age of 72 years, which he spent in destruction and bloodshed from Korea in the east to Persia in the west. Genghis Khan built his empire on the blood and body parts of humans. With the death of Genghis Khan, things calmed down a little, but no one took advantage of the turmoil of the Tartars with the death of Genghis Khan. Disagreements and wars were continuing between the Ayyubid princes of Levant and Damascus, Homs, Aleppo, Hama, and the country of Egypt. As for Jalal al-Din ibn Khwarizm, he went to the country of Abkhazia and annexed it. Then a fight took place between him and Prince al-Ashraf al-Adil, and the city of Alat in southeastern Turkey was one of the most suffering cities. Jalal al-Din did not leave anyone but fought wars with him, until the historian Ibn al-Athir described him as corrupt and lacking in mind. In 1231, after the death of Genghis Khan, the Tatar leader Akhetai assumed the leadership of the Mongol Empire. Akhetai sought to expand the Mongol Empire in Muslim countries, Russia, and Europe. Akhetai gave the Tatar leader Shirmenshon the task of advancing into the Islamic lands. The Mongols headed to Iran, which was under the control of Jalal al-Din. And the Mongols crushed the army of Jalal ad-Din. And Jalal al-Din ibn Khwarizm did not find anyone to save him, so he fled to the regions of northern Iraq and southeast Turkey, and some Kurds met him and discovered his identity, and a Kurdish man hosted him, honored him, and fed him. Someone came to want to kill Jalal al-Din to avenge his brother, who had been killed by Jalal al-Din's army previously. And when Jalal al-Din slept, this man entered and killed him, then took his body to the emir of the northern Iraq region, the Ashraf king, who was very hostile with Jalal al-Din. This was the end of Jalal al-Din ibn Khwarizm, Mankoberti. Despite the enmity between him and King al-Ashraf, the al-Ashraf king looked with disapproval at the people who came to congratulate him on the death of Jalal ad-Din and said, "You came jubilant to congratulate me on the death of Jalal ad-Din. By God, the death of Jalal al-Din will be a cause for the Mongol Tatars to enter our country, so this Khwarizmi was nothing but a barrier between us and the Tatars." And in fact, this is what happened next. The Tatars took control of Azerbaijan and the country of Iran, except for a narrow western region that remained under the influence of the assassin sect, Ismaili Shiites. The Tatar leader Shirmenshon fixed his feet in the areas he controlled and stopped the invasion for a period of 5 years, from 1232 to 1237. This control of the Mongols was due to the dispersal of the rulers and armies of those countries, and their struggle for power. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel, turn on alerts to receive new videos.